And we start with a warning to parents. You probably think that your teenage children are buying these top-shelf magazines to look at this kind of thing. And you probably think that's normal, OK? Well, they're not. What they're actually looking at is that. They are cutting out pictures of this sort of car and taking them to the laboratory.
I've got news of a fantastic new car alarm from Cobra. Now, this is very, very high-tech. Anywhere your car is in Europe, this system, linked to satellites, it knows exactly where your car is. And if your car is stolen, it will send you an email, a text message, or a fax.
A fax?
Does anyone use this?
Well, the speediest means of communication known to man.
Well, I had this vision. Whenever I'm in my office and I'm working away on something, I hear that little click, the fax machine's going, I think, ooh, a fax. He sits down and it goes, dear Mr. May, and I think, fantastic, your car, oh, my car, what's that, has been, what, entered for a Reader's Digest drawer, stolen.
Spending time in traffic, we all have to do it, it's no fun, we know that. This is a new service, it's called motor flirting.
Motor what?
Motor flirting. And essentially, it boils down to this. Members display a discreet, it says discreet, sticker in the back window of their car with Motor Flirt logo on it. And then another member, when they see that and they think, he or she looks quite nice, they can contact this service and give them the registration number and they can send text messages to that person.
This means a load of fat, ugly blokes are going to be sending each other text messages as they drive along.
And here, these two will be texting each other. Let's have a look.
That's basically what it is.
Nice car and dishy driver. Instead of gazing longingly through the windscreen, you can text the motorist you fancy. There you go, have that. You got the number, all the details on it.
I can straight away see another use for this, because it means you can finally contact people in other cars around you. You're on the motorway, say, it's not foggy, say, and somebody in front has, let's imagine their fog light on.
Oh.
You could send them a playful little text messages to the effect,
Turn it off. Turn it off. 123-year-old man, turn it off.
Yes.
Right, now, of course, the big news of the week that's been in all the papers is, I've got a report here from The Observer, drivers are facing the biggest revolution in the history of British motoring. It's the Lexus again, it's changed everything.
Yes.
The thing is that Alistair Darling, who's the Transport Secretary, has said that he doesn't want people all taking their children to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, now, look, darling, that's kind of when school starts. You know, it's not like you take your child to school and say, well, I'm going to take it at 3 in the morning because it's nice and quiet.
He's thought that through, has he?
There's going to be a lot of headmasters saying, Clarkson, you're early.
Well, I know, but his dad arrived in his Jag diesel, saved a couple of quid there, and he's dropped me off at 3 in the morning. No, the idea is, Darling is saying he's going to use satellites to track all 24 million drivers, and then if we use our cars at popular times, i.e. if we're going to work, he's going to charge us for it. And do you know the most depressing thing about this? It really is, and I am quoting now, OK? You can't build yourself out of the problem that we face, said Darling. It would be astronomically expensive, environmentally damaging, and I doubt if we could actually do it. Now, look. When you had the Air Ministry in 1940 watching the Luftwaffe come over, they didn't say, I doubt we can do anything about that, frankly. Well, just let them... Or you'd have Francis Drake playing bowls. I doubt we can do anything about the Spanish Armada. There's millions of them.
It's not the spirit, is it?
In fact, I've got a simple message which I want to deliver in a new Labour way to Darling. OK? Ready? For your plan? I've never read such rubbish.
I can't quite understand this. It's a 206, it's another GTI, it's only the 138 brake horsepower one, slightly less powerful, but you'll notice it's an estate. A little tiny estate car. Now, that to me is pointless. More than that, it's a tragedy. I just can't see why you'd need that in your life.
That's what the French call idiotique.
Yes. Don't get it, don't like it.
I like it.
Why?
I like it because the 206 is a good car, we all agreed?
Yeah, it is.
It's good hatch.
206 is a good car, you put a peppy little engine in it and there's space for your dog.
Well,
No.
You can get your dog in a hatchback.
No, you can't. What if you've got a big dog, it won't go in a 206?
No, hang on. A dog is for life. If you've got a big dog already, you specify a big estate car, a Volvo, yeah?
He's right.
If you've already got a small car, you get a small dog, like one of those mutant things that comes third at Crufts.
My point is that if you had a dog and you needed the space, I think that's great.
Not if you're British.
because we like dogs.
Yes.
But actually, it's a French car, and they can get a red setter in the back of a Renault 5. I've seen it. And they crush it in so tightly that it actually looks like a photograph of a dog stuck on the window rather than a real dog inside the car.
I consider myself outvoted then.
Yeah.
You
Peugeot
are.
206, GTI estate, silly car.
Very silly.
Silly car.
Is it my turn?
It is.
It's Lexus. It's the RX 300. They're bringing a new model in. Here it is. And they're talking about it's got a whole load of new features on it, all of which are supposed to be amazing. It's got a driver's knee airbag.
Ooh.
What? They've looked, haven't they, and they've thought, how many airbags have everyone else got? Oh, God, they've got one for the eyelashes, one for your ears, one for your ankles. Better do one for the knees. So it's got a knee airbag. It's got a colour rear view camera.
Ah, no.
Primera's got a
Yeah, the
camera.
Nissan Primera. No,
That's black and
no,
white,
it's
though.
black and white.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, you have to get a more expensive television licence to reverse that car.
What was the matter with a rear view mirror? This is what I'm talking about, complication. What was the matter?
You can't get teletext on it, maybe you can.
I'll just back up and check on my share prices. Well, anyway, if you want a Lexus and want to look like a Los Angeles drug dealer, there you are. Now,
If you want a free car, this is good news for all of us. If you want a free Vectra... Sorry,
well, it
Jim.
need to be.
Yes. Vauxhall are doing... I've got this right. I've read it several times over. If you ring a telephone number, Vauxhall will deliver to you, to your house, a Vectra. Drop it off. You can drive around in it, and 48 hours later, they'll take it away.
You don't have to buy it.
No, you don't buy it. This is to get people test driving the Vectra. So you telephone a number, they drop the car off, and you... That's brilliant.
So if you just want to go and see Granny or a girlfriend in Manchester and it's a 60 quid whale fare, you can just ring them up, they drop a car at your house, drive it up there and back.
Yeah, well, what if you want to do a bank job? That's a better idea, isn't it?
It's better. Or if you're just a broke student going on a rave with your mates.
No, but seriously, I wonder how many they've got.
Well, I don't know, because presumably
lots,
this is the launch of their campaign. It's quite an important moment. Somebody's spent an awful lot of time planning this and working on it, and the worst thing we could do is give out the number, which is 08456 775 775.
3.5 million people watching this.
Let's
If
do it.
everybody rang tomorrow.
It's a free car for 48 hours.
See the Luton Telephone Exchange.
So that's 08456 775 775. You get a free car for 48 hours. That's brilliant value. Do it.
Right, the news. And we begin this week with a story about advertising. I have no idea how much advertising agencies charge big companies to come up with snappy strap lines for products. Must be millions and millions of pounds. I mean, the classic case in point for me was Sainsbury's. They went to their ad agency and they said, we want to get across a message that we sell good food, value for money, and it'd be nice to get the name of the company in as well. And the ad agency said, right, well, if you give us a couple of million quid, we'll go to Mauritius for a month. And they came back with, good food costs less at Sainsbury's. I could have thought of that.
It's not that clever, really.
Or Coke is it. Coke, how much did they pay for Coke is it?
Yeah.
But this week, I think I've come across an ad which just trumps the lot. Are you ready to see it? It's for the new Lexus RX 300. Here it is. There's the car. And the advert for it is... it changes everything.
That is a big claim, isn't it?
I don't want to go home tonight and find my front doors moved and that all my children are badgers and that I'm married to Frank Bruno.
Yeah.
I don't want it to change everything.
And this will be a gardening programme, and we shouldn't be talking about that anyway.
Well, exactly. And do you know, the thing is that, you know those advertising standards authority?
Yes.
They always say you've got to be, what are they, truthful?
Hang on, it's decent, honest, legal, truthful.
So that advert
It's true.
must be true.
That would be great. You could buy the Lexus and then you'd wake up the next day and it would have changed into a Jaguar. With a bit of luck.
What have you got, James?
Well, I've got the new BMW 5 Series, which is coming out in September. Here's a picture of it. They've come up with something called active steering. Now, this is, well, I think that sounds quite encouraging, active steering. Now, before you knock it, I've tried this on a prototype because they brought it round to our big house where we all live together, but these two were out and I had a go in it. And it's actually rather good because normally, if you're going round Sainsbury's car park at any speed, OK, you go down those little things and you have to do all that Institute of Advanced Motorists feed the wheel stuff. With this, you just hold the wheel, 2:45, like the Institute of Advanced Motorists, but you just do this and the car goes round a right angle. OK, but you get in on the motorway or a German autobahn doing 130 and that same movement just gives you a gentle lane change. The steering knows how fast you're going.
It's stupid.
It's always fantastic.
It isn't. I'd always forget. I'd be just going through a car park and I'll do that, and I'd just drive straight into another car.
No, you wouldn't.
Or on a motorway. Oh, bloody hell, I'm going the wrong way.
No, Jeremy, steering is something you do instinctively. John Prescott, right, always telling us use our cars less. We know the fella. Last year spent £320,000 on taxi fares. Which, I mean, that equates to, we worked out, about 900 quid a day.
Where's he going?
Well, exactly. Who's
And why are they bringing him back?
Precisely. Leave him there.
Time for the news. Now, it's a terrible shame Jeremy didn't like the 350Z. I wondered if he might be interested in the 350Z watch. It's a very large watch with a very small face. What do you think of that?
It'll probably go tick-tock, tick-tock, and be very heavy. You'll have to be like this all day long with it.
In the last programme, we were talking about crashing and what happens, and there's incT crash tests. And remember, we crashed him again. Sorry, Renault. This is the Espace, the new one, and they've done it again. Because this has actually been through, just put through those incT crash tests, which they crash it into a barrier and assess how well it does. And it's got not only 5 stars, it's got the highest points ever in the crash test, which you've got to hand it to Renault. They're taking this very seriously.
So that's the safest car they've ever tested, then?
According to those crash tests, yeah, that is the safest thing they've ever tested.
Still got to have a people carrier, though, haven't you?
But you started going on about the Hummer. Oh, that's very safe because it's as big as a house. Really, really safe car if you crash it. Apparently not. Here is one that's been crashed, and that doesn't look too...
but that's run into an American's buttock.
Spilled my burger. You can
He's dropped his styrofoam car. Oh, hell, I've gone and run into my wife. One of her cheeks has done that to the front of my car.
That's a mess. Can I show you something interesting? Have a look at this, OK? It's a Ferrari, clearly. And this stripe is what we're interested in for the moment. Reading down this options list, how much do you reckon this costs?
What, to have it painted on the car?
If you buy just the red car, but you want it as an extra from the options list that I have here.
£1,000.
1,500.
For a bit of paint?
2,000.
Shall I tell you,
How
it's 3,643 quid for a stripe. Seriously.
3,006 bargain, says the man with the Astra Diesel.
This is the Stradale, which, if I can explain, is taken from... They have a championship race where these compete.
Yeah.
This is the road-going version of the race car. So it costs 30 grand more. It's £130,000. But it's lighter, it's lower. They firm up the suspension, lower the centre of gravity, more power, about 425 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in 4.1 seconds. And it has got paddle shift, and before you bleat about, only like flappy gearboxes, it's actually quite good in that.
I'm sorry, everyone. Have you driven this car?
I have, yes.
And what happened when you drove this car?
Well, I crashed it.
Tell the nice ladies and gentlemen about what happened.
Well, I was going round a corner, and the next minute I went round lots and lots of corners very quickly. It was span it several times.
Actually, this is why it's called the F360, this model. You drive along and you go... and then you do a 360.
Do you know, you could be right. You could be right.
Now, the Conservatives.
Mixed response.
No, mixed response there. Actually, this is the BBC, so we're impartial. Anyway, the Conservatives have decided that in order to win votes, they've said that if they're elected, they're going to up the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour. Yay. Hooray. Do away with the vast majority of speed cameras. Yay. A purge of speed bumps. Yay. And, best of all, they will abolish the M4 bus lane.
Oh, that's marvellous.
But this is great. However, the government, the Labour Party, not to be outdone, have announced just this week that they, if they're elected, are going to widen every road in the land. It's at this rate, honestly, the Lib Dems will be on next week. Free Ferraris for everybody. And you can have a Lambo.
Sad news, OK? This is sad news.
You don't know what it is yet. That's a blind date noise, isn't it?
It was a horrible noise. I thought they were deflating the
What is
entire
this?
audience.
What's
collapsing.
the sad news?
The sad news is this. Right, diesel engines. There were only 3 manufacturers who managed to hold on to sense and not put diesel engines in their car. They were Honda, well, they
They've
weakened
gone.
and did it. Saab weakened and did it. The last one has announced officially they've weakened, they've gone, and it's Jaguar. Oh no! I know, it's terrible. Error. They're putting a... You're all right, Jeremy. Quite nasty.
That is a horrific piece of
Well,
news.
they're doing a V6 one in the S-Type, and then there's a little 4-cylinder diesel going into the X-Type, which, of course, has nothing to do with Ford.
Oh, no, of course, Jaguar, yeah, no, it won't be a Ford engine. I
Nope.
want to make that absolutely plain. It's a Jaguar engine in every way.
Yeah. But if you pick away at Jaguar, it might say Ord underneath.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to put a sticker on it. But I just have worries about this. Jaguar's stealthy, sleek. Is it going to work? Have a look at this. We've got one in to have a look at, and we'll get an idea if it's going to work.
It's the stick.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
That's simply not going to work, is it?
It loses something, doesn't it? Oh, beautiful. Just hearing it pass.
That is not going to work. And do you know the worst thing about this is Jaguar was working, we know, on an F-Type, a 2-seater to a modern-day E-Type, and they cancelled that project because they'd spent all their money on a diesel engine.
Don't do a diesel, please.
Oh, dear.
And we begin tonight with probably the best piece of news I've ever heard since I was born. An event, in fact...
Don't.
Which eclipses the very miracle of my birth.
Hang on, the best piece of news you've ever heard ever.
What is it?
They're going to stop making the Beetle.
And that's it? It's not the new
That is fantastic. No,
It's not
the
that
old
good,
one.
is it?
They're still making it till the 30th of July, and then it stops forever.
And why is that so
Why
good,
do you
really?
hate it so much?
Do you really want me to do it?
Well, no, just, I can't... I mean,
OK, it's a rubbish car.
That's incisive.
That's the first thing. It's a rubbish car. Secondly, it was a scandal. OK, that car was stolen from a Czech bloke called Ledwinka, I think, by Hitler and his henchmen. They put it into production. They stole money off the German people to build it and to build a factory. They never got a car. Instead, they used the factory and slaved Russian labour from the Eastern Front to build V1 bombs.
So you can't blame the poor little Herbie.
And I haven't finished yet.
Oh, here we go.
In the factory, Russian slave labour built V1 flying bombs, one of which landed where my house now stands.
That is the most convoluted reason for
There's
hating...
more.
Oh, no.
Does anybody own a Beetle?
No,
Yes.
nobody's gonna...
Right. Are you happy driving around in a mass murderer's personal biffer bag? You are. Well, what? I mean, I don't understand it. It's completely wrong.
It's gone and you're rejoicing.
I'm chuffed a bit.
And I couldn't care less.
Have to say me neither, but, you know, there you
You're
go.
a loser.
Right, time for the news. First up this week, news of... Well, you know when you buy something vaguely technical, could be a microwave, could be a toaster, a car, you get instructions, yeah?
Yeah.
Hundreds of pages of it. When you get a baby, which is actually quite a complicated piece of kit, you don't get any instructions at all.
No.
None. Until now, because, of all people, Haynes. You must have heard of them. They do these sort of manuals. You know, there's the Peugeot 405, and there's the Ford Fiesta Service and Repair Manual. Been doing it for years. They've done another one, and it's on the baby, apparently.
They're doing one on the baby.
A Haynes manual for babies.
That's the most dangerous thing I can think of.
I have reservations.
The sort of people who buy those manuals are the sort of people who think they know better than the experts.
Yes.
This baby's got a leak out of the barrel, brown stuff. I put the sump plug in. There we go, that's better. Stop that.
It's just not the place for amateurism,
This is fantastic news for British medicine. You know, we've had all that test tube baby stuff. Let's have the first baby born in an inspection pit.
Yes.
That advanced medical science.
No, it's the notion of, no, I'm not going to take you to the hospital. Come down to the shed. Bring the plunger, I'll do a Von Tusen delivery for them. There we go, that's got it out.
No problem.
You know what, what's always worried me about Haynes manuals is this thing. You've got these little pictures. I'm sure you're all familiar with this, and you get the oily hand of Haynes in the picture. Do you want that in the caesarean ward?
No.
Exactly.
What gets me is when they made it, because the way they make this, it's quite simple. They get some bloke, Derek, whatever, beard, spanner, and they get the car in and he takes it apart and they take photographs. And they must go through like, well, when you've done a Ford Fiesta, can you do the Peugeot 405, Derek? And then, well, we've got an unusual one for you next. Thunk baby. What do you think? Start with that.
I'll have its liver out in a jiffy.
No worries.
Nah. All those people who write in and say, you're only interested in expensive cars, you're damn right. The new Lamborghini Diana. This has got a V10 5-litre... I'm going to have to go to the lavatory if I have to say V10 5-litre engine again. If its big brother, the Murcielago, is anything to go by, that will be... Because they're owned by Audi now, aren't they?
They are.
That will be a stonking good car.
News about a new system to help protect car drivers from road rage attack, OK? It's a personal attack warning system that you fit to your car, and it's a button. And if you hit this button, it activates a 120 decibel siren. So people are going to notice you've done this. Causes the hazard lights to flash on and off, and it's periodically interrupted with a loud voice message sounding, "Help! Driver under attack! Call the police." But what interests me is...
What car's this
Well,
fitted to?
this is what interests me. It's Honda. And if any car is going to cause it, it's the old biffers driving around in Hondas that generate road rage in the first place.
What it should say is, driver in a Honda.
Yes, stay away! But they also go on to give us some top tips for avoiding road rage.
1, don't buy a Honda.
Good start. Another one would be, don't drive so damn slowly.
Let's have a look. I want to see these. These are top tips from Honda on how to avoid road rage, OK? Acknowledge your mistake if you've made one with a wave, or say sorry.
I wave a lot in the car.
I wave. I make
Little
lots of
signals.
hand signals at people in Hondas.
Twice as cross as you are.
Don't lose your temper.
It says here as well, do not rise to any challenges while you are driving. What, like a duel? Or maybe... That's it, sir. Your driving has angered me. I demand satisfaction. I can't see that happening, sir.
Now, I was driving to work the other day, and I saw this car parked at the side of the road. Now, that was a Jaguar, and somebody thought, I know what I can do. I can put a chest freezer on the front and a nice 1970s paint scheme, and it'll be great. Look at that spoiler on the back, which I've only just noticed.
That's fantastic.
And it made me think, what is the worst car in Britain today? So we decided to have a competition to try and find that.
Now, we all know from changing rooms, OK, MDF is a fantastic material if you want to make a wardrobe, a cupboard in your kid's bedroom, shelves or whatever. If you do this and you've got some MDF left, make some more shelves, put it in the loft, put it in the corner of the garage with all those other useful bits of wood, but don't put it on the car. It simply does not work.
If you remember, we launched our search for rubbish cars. Well, not rubbish cars, cars that have been ruined, if you remember, people who've just done stupid things. I've got a good example that's been sent in to give you an idea of what we're looking for. Started life as a Volvo, OK? Sensible car. I've actually seen this car in real life. Look at that! Look at that! What? He's welded half a wheelie into it. Where on earth were you go? When I saw that on the M4, there was a trail of traffic, all trying to look not just at the car, but at the idiot that did that to it.
There's 1 million new little cars come out every single week, and they're all much of a muchness, they're all fine. But this week, there's a new Daihatsu Charade out. It's being launched next month. We had a go in it this morning. It's fantastic.
It is excellent.
We've got a picture of it here. It's about 2 inches tall, OK? Now, you get electric windows, you get anti-lock brakes, you get a 1-litre 3-cylinder engine, does 100 miles an hour, tons of space. And do you want to know how much it costs? $5,995.
But did you notice, though, when you put the ignition key in and turn it on, there's a little display on the dash and it says, "Hello, happy."
Yes, it does.
They've always had a bit of a problem with this Japanese translation thing, though. I mean, they've improved the cars now, but I've got at home, I've got the handbook from an early 1970s Datsun, and there's a bit in it about adjusting the seat And right in the middle of it, it says, cement the driver's arm to the handle. What does it mean? Right? And then in the index, under H, it's got how to open the bonnet.
To do anything else.
I had a good one with Daihatsu. They once flew me first class before I was working for the BBC. They flew me first class all the way to Japan via Hong Kong and then back through Maui and San Francisco. And I arrived in Japan to drive their new Charade. This was, I don't know, late 80s. I did half a lap of the track and crashed it.
Oh, well done, well done.
And the guy said, oh, don't worry, we make one every 23 seconds.
After you'd grovelled for half an hour.
Yeah, that's it. Right, that's the end of the news.
Now, this is a truly heartwarming tale of British boffins. They're called Mark and Colin. They've been in their shed, smoking pipes, making cups of tea, and they've been head-banging that old chestnut, the electric motor car. They've come up with a prototype, I should tell you, called the E-Motion, and they say, we really are at the cutting edge of technology and aim to lead the way with a variety of innovations, many of which could find an instant and ready market in the mass production of commercially viable electric cars. Let's have a look at it.
That's a rubbish thing. It's got a fridge freezer. What's this on the top?
I said, Mark, hang on, we've forgotten the windscreen. Can you just lend us your crash helmet a minute?
I like they obviously made it blunt at one end with a fridge freezer.
Well, it's a
and then
fridge
thought,
freezer.
Oh, let's make it pointy, then it's aerodynamic. Look at that.
It's got some way to go before it becomes a viable four-seater family car, isn't it?
If you want to invent something, invent another Concorde.
And I think it's all of these little folding tin-top convertibles. You know the 206cc, the Peugeot, the baby sister of that 306 that we saw?
You know, I actually sometimes think it's blokes can't have convertibles. I mean, I've got one. No, I've got one. I came out of a meeting in London the other day. It was a beautiful sunny day. I thought, I'll get the roof down, and I thought, I can't. I'm a middle-aged man with a bit of a paunch. I can't drive across London. What message am I giving out?
I think
you
you're right.
can't have a convertible.
Not if you're a bloke.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. I hate to interrupt, but this is quite honestly the biggest load of limp-wristed twaddle I've ever heard in all my 5 weeks in television. These two are not men, OK? This one, Richard Hammond, every morning sticks his head in a bucket of hair product. Right? He's got a dog, but it's a poodle. And I don't know what you're laughing about, Clarkson, because you won't drink brown beer. And this is the man that says flatulence, oh, it's not funny, when clearly it is, isn't it? Right. We've had this mystery fax, OK? Came to the office, some telephone numbers, and a picture.
Yes.
What would you say that was?
It's a Lotus Esprit.
Yeah, it's a Lotus.
Anybody else?
What
Lotus
is that?
Esprit? Yeah. Now, this has actually come from the manufacturer. When
From
you ring
Lotus?
from Lotus, when you ring the number, they will say to you, what's that picture that's come through on your fax machine? And you'll say, oh, that's the Lotus Esprit. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to prove that this is their shape and then copyright it.
How can they do that?
Well, we can ensure they don't, OK? If you get one of these on your fax machine, ring the number, and when they say, what's that picture, you say, that's a piece of double Gloucester. That way, every time somebody buys a Ferrari or a Lotus, or what was the other one? A Lamborghini, or indeed a Seat, if they ever get around to building this thing, it's more money in royalties for Britain's beleaguered cheesemakers. It's good news for UK
Good point.
PLC.
Yeah.
Good point.
What is it about giving cars names? Is this something that only women do? Because I said this down the pub the other day and nearly got my head kicked in. Has any bloke here ever called their car something like Mini the Micra? Or anything like that?
Has any man, hands up if you've ever named your car? Have any women here named their cars?
Yes.
Look at that.
What's the name of your car?
Miles.
Miles.
Miles, that's a good one.
What's the name of your car then?
Mr. T.
Mr. T. Is it big and black with jewellery all over it? It's a Toyota. So you call a Toyota MR2 not Graham Norton, which is its real name. Well, there we are. I've got a safety thing that I want to do.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, look here. It's this green thing.
Lovely. And it is?
It's a hearing aid. Funky hearing aid. I'm
Oh, that's
deaf,
nice.
but I'm funky. Look at that.
It's a special device for making you look like a total Burke.
Yeah.
It works
The thing
well.
is you put it on your head while you're driving along, and then, if you nod off, you fall asleep, ready?
Wow, Jeremy, that's safe. Well done. I think that's safe.
Just before we get carried away, though, I've spotted a couple of drawbacks with this. You're driving along, you want to change radio channels. You want to get something out of the glove box.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No. Do you know what? I think you've messed it up. Oh, turn it off. More good news, actually, for you. Because a while ago we saw, well, Vauxhall showed us the new Astra. Well, at least what they said it was going to look like. We've got a picture of it here. Now, that we all agreed, I think we are all agreed, is a fantastic-looking thing. And Jeremy said, well, if it looks anything like that when they make the real one, I'll eat my hair. And the good news for you, Jeremy, is it looks like this. Oh. So it's safe.
It's safe.
Yeah, I mean, they send us a load of stuff on it, and I've been through it all, and all I can see is lights. It tells you it's got, this is a good one, forward lighting headlamp system.
I'm always fed at you. Turn the light. I've illuminated my engine bay again and can't see where I'm going.
And it goes on about the rear light scattering translucent technology in the rear lamps, so they just light up. Yeah, I don't get it.
Right, here's something that doesn't happen very often, about once in a lifetime, a new Bristol. OK, this is the Bristol Fighter. Actually, it's the Bristol Fighter Mark II, because the first one was launched in 1916 and it was a biplane. But this looks quite a bit more promising. It's a two-door gull-wing supercar. It's going to cost £230,000, 210 miles per hour, V10 engine, 525 something brake horsepower.
That's the same engine they put in a Dodge Viper, isn't it?
Essentially, well, actually, no. Well, it's essentially the same, but it actually develops more power in a Bristol. For some
How
reason.
come?
I don't know. Mahogany crankshaft or something traditional like that. But anyway, I loved Bristols when I was a kid for some perverse reason, and for...
No, they've got confused, James.
You loved Bristols when you were a child.
When I was a kid, I loved Bristols, and then I got into cars, and I quite fancied the idea of a Bristol. And it's quite good because now I actually live about a mile and a half from the Bristol showroom, which is in South Kensington. It is the only Bristol showroom in the world, and I thought, I'm going to go up there, and finally, I'm going to drive a Bristol. They wouldn't even let me in the showroom. And do you know why?
Why?
Because I know you git.
Yeah, the problem is I once did drive a Bristol, and all I said in the road test was that it was that the handle that you pulled the glove box down with looked like it was made from the flex from a 1940s telephone, you know, that Harriet thing like that.
Probably well.
That was it. You're banned. You're never driving another Bristol. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I wake up every morning and think, I'll go to work in the SL then. But
We used to ring up Bristol and they'd pick up the phone and say, Bristol Cars, may I help you? And they now pick it up and say, Bristol Cars, do you know Jeremy Clarkson? And if you say yes, then you just get a click. That's a very polite click.
Right, reliability studies, we love these. Because, no, we do, because they tell us not, which is the fastest 0 to 60, but which cars break down and why. This is a good one. It's by a company called, I think, reliabilityindex.com. Or something,
Internet.
which possibly isn't the best of starts. But this makes interesting reading. Here's their most reliable cars from their extensive survey work. Their top 10 goes as follows. Number 1, Mazda.
fair point.
Yeah, I mean,
Mazdas are reliable. Anyone got a Mazda? Does it ever break down? No,
So they
there you
don't.
go.
They
They never
just
do.
don't. MX-5 goes forever.
Yeah.
Then in second place, Ford. I suppose nowadays... if you
Anyone
think
got a
that-
Ford? Does it ever break down? Some
Yeah,
do,
split-
some don't.
okay.
Anyway, the second most reliable
Well,
car,
then
they
there's
reckon.
I think this reliability index gets a bit weak here. Third most reliable make of car, Fiat. I mean, then it's got, Honda, Volkswagen, Mercedes, Toyota, BMW, Volvo, all the people expect. But in third place, Fiat.
What have they got as being the most unreliable
Well,
car,
this is
then?
good fun because, according to them, the second least reliable make is Subaru. They never go wrong. They're the most reliable cars imaginable.
I have never, in how long I've been doing this, 15 years, I've never had a letter from a Subaru owner, ever, saying my Subaru broke down.
So, that
No,
is-
no, what was number 1? What's the most unreliable car, according to them? Toyota? It'll be I bet it's something like
Lexus.
Toyota and Nissan. Lexus.
Jeep.
Jeep was one.
Yeah. Do you want that? Absolute rubbish.
Well, this is interesting. A brochure about the opening of a new car park in Leeds. Q Park is not only changing the way people park, but also the way they think about parking. Parking...
You don't.
It gets better. Parking provides a vital link in the mobility chain.
It does. You stop your car,
It
you
is
get out, you go
never
shopping.
an
What?
end in itself.
Well, you don't just go out to do some parking, do you?
Well, I don't.
Come here, darling. Have a nice day.
Oh, that's better.
I've been invited to the opening of this car park.
In
And
Leeds?
Yeah, I have to say I'm very disappointed in it because when I joined Top Gear, I thought, here we go. French Film Festival, Kristen, no. I've been invited to the opening of a car park, and it says, yes, please, I would like to come to the opening of the car park. I will be arriving, A, by car, B, on foot. So anyway, I rang them up and I said, I'd like to come in the car. Will they be parking?
Yes. Anyone here go to the Goodwood Festival of Speed? Wasn't it fantastic? Best thing for me, though, was JK turned up with his new Ferrari Enzo, 300 and however many thousand pounds it is. Parked it in the car park. We've got a picture of it here, OK, which somebody sent to us. Now, someone wrote something on the bonnet. You want to see what it is? Jody was faster.
You were there, though. You were there. It wasn't... You didn't...
I didn't do it. No,
That's
I just walked past
fantastic.
and thought, that is very, very funny. He spent the entire day saying to people, no, yes, I will come back. No, yes, I do hate her. It's marvellous. It was a fantastic event, though, Goodwood,
Well,
this
it's
year.
massive now, isn't it?
It's,
Like,
it's like
global.
every Grand Prix and every classic car show jammed together on a gorgeous sunny day. It's brilliant.
It is
Elle
Carson.
McPherson waved at... Elle McPherson.
Is that an old racing driver?
No, you buffoon.
He
Model.
thinks hello is a form of greeting.
Well,
Elle
it is.
McPherson is known as the... She's a girl, James.
You really do live somewhere else, don't you, James?
What's the L stand for?
No!
She waved at me.
Are you sure it was a wave?
Yeah, she waved at me.
Wasn't it?
No, it wasn't shooing me away or anything.
Nasty
She
man.
waved at me.
Can I do one now?
Yeah, what
I've
have you got?
two. Right, Porsche have a race championship going on this year in this country called the Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain. The reason this is of interest to us is that they are producing a road-going version of the car that competes in that. It's the 911 GT3. They've done GT3s before. This is the new one. I can have a look at it, I think. It's a stunning-looking thing, and it's not just the looks. It's 381 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It will cost you 72 grand, but it's real racetrack type technology.
I get confused with 911s. I never know where they all go. Is that a turbo?
No, that's not. That is normally aspirated.
So wait a minute, the GT2's a turbo?
Yes.
And the turbo's a turbo, obviously.
Yes,
Why is a GT2 not a turbo, if it is a turbo?
but it is a turbo.
The GT.
Yes, why is it called a GT2 and not a turbo?
Because the turbo's called a turbo. You couldn't have...
You see? Does anybody here understand the 911 range? No? They're bored, aren't they?
Yes.
They've been making the same car for 13 years, and all they think to do is, well, call that one a GT3 and that one a GT2, and I'll have a turbo, a GT2, I'll have a GT1, a 959, put the engine in the back. God, it must be fun going into a Porsche dealership. Have a 911. It'd be like ordering breakfast in America. I just want eggs!
Stop
You
messing around and give me a Porsche!